Sam, all you did at uni was Thai boxing. Because it sure as shit weren't your degree.
I didn't...
Hello, welcome back to the podcast Evolve. I almost got the name of it.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, I know. And you're listening to me, Lewis, and Sam. How's it going, Sam?
Hello. I'm doing all right, buddy.
Yeah.
I'm doing great, pal. Don't know
Good.
what else to add to that. Life's been really stressful and I'm clearly faking happiness right now. I'm doing okay.
No, Sam, you start the past 2 episodes. I just edited episode 17.
Started in like misery.
And I was like,
positive vibes.
I was like, Sam, how's your week? And you just went.
It's been so terrible.
I know this episode was supposed to be about quitting and how to stop quitting. We'll do that at a later episode. I'm not going to say it's
do
the
that
next
when
one.
I had my notice in.
Yeah.
Do that when we all had our notice in. That's what we do.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, fair. But we'll do that episode at a later point. But you've done that thing where I was editing episode 17, and it's like you told the future again in terms of what's going to happen in the next 2 weeks, because you said like when you're going for when you're in the workplace and essentially you're working at a certain level of standard, and then when you ask for that promotion or more money, they're like, oh, you need to do a little bit more, and then you're like, well, I'm already doing that. So, and that's pretty much happened to me 2 days ago, where they're like, oh, you need to do a little bit more. Then I do a little bit more. And then I'm talking about, like, moving, progression. It's like, oh, it'd be really good if you could become an expert in this. So my benchmark is here, higher, and then the external higher doesn't need to be an expert on the thing that I apparently now need to be an expert on. So, yeah, it's been good. That's been
that was the worst.
So yeah, it's been good. No, that's been my week. But I'm 28 now. I am a year older.
Yeah, you old. I'm still older.
You know what? I'm just going to summarize the past 2 weeks in 3 words. I'm going to try and think of words. Relaxation, redemption, and rejection. That's literally it's a mix.
Downhill.
The bag
downhill.
Is not in no particular order. The holiday, honestly, the holiday I just had was honestly probably the best holiday I've had in my life. It was so good.
It looked so good.
I switched off for the first time, I think, in genuinely 6 years.
It looked so good. I'm not gonna lie. You sent me pictures and I was just I was there looking at Sarah like, when is it my turn? When do I
honestly,
get a vacation?
Yeah,
but
Rosie,
it looked gorgeous.
I have to.
She's done well, man.
Rosie took me away for my birthday, and I think it's the first time I've actually enjoyed my birthday. I get a lot of anxiety around my birthday.
Really?
Yeah, I really get anxious about my birthday. I hate my birthday. So
I can't recall doing anything for your birthday.
No, it's just
when we were at uni. I can't remember. Were you always with
out
family
of
or something?
Uni. It was out of term.
Oh, because we was doing like some kind of... Okay, fair enough. Yeah,
because term finishes in June and I'm in July, so we never really did anything at uni.
Yeah, that explains it. Fuck, that does explain it.
But I always feel weird about my birthday because I hate trying to organize people to do stuff for my birthday. So this was actually very good because it's just me and Rosie, and we're already doing stuff, and it's just anxious. I still have a bit of an existential crisis, but on the actual birthday, I was actually able to like enjoy myself. And even Rosie was like, "This is the first time I've actually seen you like relax and
enjoying."
It was the first time I've actually able to switch off, and it's now becoming an integral part of my life moving forward that I have to go away for at least a week every year. So yeah, I will 100% go back to that hotel next year because it was unreal. Yeah, get a swim up. Just get if you're listening to this and you want a sick holiday, just have a room with a swim up pool. And if you
describe a swim up, what is it?
So for the brokies who don't know what this is,
wow.
It's basically a pool, and you literally just have a pool like attached to your room.
You just walk out your room.
You just walk out your room. There's just sunbeds and a big pool, and it's sick. So yeah, honestly, it was.
You heard that
unreal.
first, guys. Make sure your parents send you to middle school. then make sure that you get a girl that can get you a room for swim up. Sam, that's a new trend. 2024, 2025, we do swim up in middle school.
I'm gonna raise my voice.
Generational wealth. Generational wealth.
That's what
we do. We do generational wealth.
I'm gonna let you get this out of your system.
You know it's never leave my system.
Sam has this in his head that I'm just rich as shit, Posh. And it's not true. Well, why would I be doing this podcast?
I mean, yeah, you are.
I'm cutting this out. This is not. I'm not having these. I'm not spreading these lies.
No.
Guys, I'm just like you.
Financially okay, mentally broken. Financially healthy, mentally unfit.
That's gonna be merch.
That is
when we have merch. That's gonna be like right here. Oh, bro, that's actually true. But yeah,
I wish my heart was as full as my bank account. Quote. Quote. I want that on a t-shirt. I wish my heart was as full as my bank account.
Oh man. But man, it's been a mixed bag of a couple of weeks. Like I genuinely was so relaxed, and then I came back to work immediately, and I was like, yeah, I need to, like, I can't do this anymore. Like I genuinely hit that wall where I was like, you know, when you just physically can't bring yourself to do like the one Excel document that you have to do because you're just thinking like, is this what my life is going to be? Am I ever going to be out of an Excel sheet? Am I ever going to be in this system that is built on Windows XP and we're still using it in 24?
It's when you look at it and you just think, I'm complaining about a pay rise, but do I want to be here? Like, if I had the pay rise, would I want to be here? What's going on here?
Yeah, it's a mess.
It's a mess.
I'm genuinely thinking like, we need to show a path that we somehow escaped the mixed,
the Matrix,
not even a mixed bag, just the shit Matrix. With just barrels and barrels of shit. Like,
I just want to wake up and just do what Snoop Dogg does, you know. Just one day I'm just lighting the Olympic torch that looks like a blunt.
Olympic torch for vibes.
Just one day I'm just on a cooking show. The next day I'm just on stage. Why can't life be that easy?
It is. Sake, I'm genuinely having like an existential crisis, being like, I need to work harder because,
bro,
I can't be dealing with this bullshit for the rest of my life.
Do you feel like that because you just came off a really good holiday though?
Honestly, it's probably that. Yes. Also, the fact that I'm a year older
as well.
And the years are just going by quicker, and I can't be talking about how I'm.
Remember when I said millionaire by 30, and you were just like, "No, Sam, it's not bad." Look at you now, mentally broken, talking about how you want to be relaxed and doing side quests. Look at you now. It's not even the relaxed doing side quests. I'm trying to get on the main quest. Like, you know, the PS5's arrived. I don't know where the plug goes. Your save file's corrupt. Your save file's corrupt. You got to start all over again.
I'm trying to start a new game, bro. Like that's the thing.
Think about all the Easter eggs you found. Think about all the collectibles you found.
It's not even the. I want to get at the point where I'm relaxing and relishing in my success. I just want to get to the point where I'm actually starting doing the shit I want to do, like every day. It's getting to that point. That is the success point for me, where I'm actually enjoying what I'm doing. It's not even I'm just enjoying my riches and chilling with my family. I don't even think about that. It's
that's actually such a good arc.
I actually want my day to day to be. Yeah, I just want my day-to-day to be like, I'm working towards shit that I want to do. Like, I'm happy to be stuck in that cycle. Like, yeah. But anyway.
We're adults now, Lewis. We pay council tax, we pay bills, we wake up and we cry about going to work, but we'll still turn up and do a good job because we're vicious.
It's just, I wake up to notifications from NatWest that TfL's charged me. It costs £5 to wake up in London.
Who told you to live there? I told everyone, don't live in London. Everyone's like, oh, it's such a great atmosphere. There's so much to do. Now look at you all, paying silly prices for a tube train that smells of BO. Look at all of you. Get your asses back to Nottingham. The Midlands misses you. Equal pay, cheaper living costs. Look at you just sat there. After COVID, we were all on the same platform. You just pay more. Like, that's literally
It's true. But anyway, Sam, What are we going to talk about
It
today?
is what it is, bro. Oh, let's just wrap up my week of shenanigans.
Oh yeah, shit.
And mess,
Sorry.
right? Because no, let me just vent. I'm gonna vent in a way that hopefully lets me keep my job. Let me just vent.
Okay.
I have
do your thing.
I've had a week of disappointment, but you know what? I feel like I always learn from my most tragic moments. So let's not dwell on the fact that let's not dwell on the fact that I've for 2 weeks straight. I started work at 8 a.m. and the latest I finished was 11:45, so 11:45. That's 2 weeks straight of. That's 10 work days in a row. Even on the weekends, I couldn't rest because my phone would ping and I'd be like, "Fuck, something's broken. Like something's gone wrong."
Yeah.
There was a point where I was like, "I need help," and you know what? Like it got so bad. There's no one to help me. Like everyone else is equally screwed elsewhere on other projects. Like the UK is in the maddest turmoil. Jobs are leaving this country. Businesses are just like hiring outside the country, and everyone who works in a UK office is basically just doing like 10 people's jobs. Like we're all doing like 10 people's jobs because when you go to a company, like, are you going to fill the gap? They're like, no, we're looking to go outside and find new people, find new mindsets. It's like find me an assistant, do that. Go find me an assistant. I don't care where they're from. Just find me someone. But yeah, work has been crazy. I don't think it helps that I'm also doing a PhD. I don't think it helps that I'm also trying to run a business in the background. It definitely doesn't help. And the worst thing is like, I'm complaining and I'm struggling. And there's people who are complaining and struggling as well. But what annoys me is that they get to come in the next day more refreshed because they spend their evenings relaxing. I'm either working or working. Sleeping is the option. There's been days I'll turn up for like 3 hours sleep and it's like, "Oh, Sam, you seem so tired." I'm saying like, I've literally been doing coursework after work. I went to bed this morning and I'm still here. And everyone's just like, "Oh, Sam, you're really struggling. Like, we really feel bad for you." I'm like, "Okay, help me." I see that you see me. Help me. Like, stop sending me complaints on emails and help me. Like,
you just
looking at Kevin Hartford like,
I literally
I'm not going to say anyone. Me. Like, help me. You're watching me suffer.
Bro, you know what?
It's like
true,
kids
man.
in Africa, and then they just get on their plane like, "Bye, Tunde. Bye."
Yeah.
Like we'll see. We'll send you some aid. Help me now. You're here with all your money and your free food you're taking on the plane with you. Help me. But yeah, I'm sweating. It's hot. I'm hot and bothered.
You know what?
But yeah, apart from that, it's been a tough lesson. I know I basically like broke down to you, not tearfully because I'm not that emotional. But I kind of just vented to you of like, I'm so fed up with just life. I'm so fed up with being like people's whipping boy after all this inspiring talk after that birthday event of like how I'm like, I find value in myself. And now look where I'm at, back in the same position of sleepless nights and doing extra work. And what you said to me was literally like, it's your job. It's just a job though. Like it's a job. And like, since you said that, I've literally packaged it into it is work. It's a work problem.
The thing is, I'm a hypocrite because
I
do the exact same thing.
You're doing the same thing.
I do the exact same thing, bro. I'll tell you, like, bro, it's just a job, and then I will then like go back to my work at like 7:00.
Yeah,
and it's
so hard.
It's and we're gonna go into this, but it's genuinely you have to make a habit of when people are telling you things are urgent and you take on their stress, and then you're like, and then I have this moment where I realize I'm like, hold on, I have free will and I don't care about this. Like, hold on.
I could just ignore you.
Yeah, you're like, wait. I've just realized something. I don't care. Like, you just keep on. It's really weird because it's like it's like there's a version of myself that I keep going in and out of, and it's like there's work Lewis who, you know, is it's like the lesser me. It's like the me that, you know, joined work at like when I was 22 out of uni and I'm keen to impress and things like that, and like you slip back into it and you keep on doing all this stuff and overworking and sleeping shit and eating shit, and then I have now Lewis where, you know, I actually realize I'm stressing about this stuff and progressing and, you know, in my work where I actually don't care about it because I don't want to progress in this. I actually want to, you know, do my editing. I don't care about advertising and shit. So why am I stressing about this stuff that I actually don't want to go further into? And then I kind of go, wait, none of this actually matters. And it's a weird internal battle of remembering I don't give a shit. It's really weird. It's really weird.
And it's literally like, hold on a minute. They pay me for set hours.
Yeah.
Well, they don't. I get salary, but still, like, you tell me to come in at a set time, you tell me to leave at a set time. Great. At some point, we have to be like, it's going to segue into the main topic. And I was saying there's a really good arc that I found earlier in our conversations that could have jumped in, but I just had to vent. So we've lost that arc now. We found a new one. But in general, it's like when you keep struggling, and when you keep struggling at work or in life or anything, if someone wants you to do something for them and you burn yourself out to do it, and you do that from beginning, you constantly do that for that person, for whatever value they give you, whether it's like they just look through you all the time and make a request and you still go, I'm going to make you like me, I'm going to work harder. That becomes the bare minimum of your interactions with that person. That becomes the baseline of your interactions. It's like when you meet a girl or when you meet a significant other, someone you want to fancy you, and you take one really like lavish dates. Like you go to this place, like more than your relationship is more than your bank. When you start doing that behaviors and then all of a sudden like it normalizes and you're not doing date night every Friday and like you're not doing all these things. You're not doing all these things that all her friends were like, oh my God, he's amazing. Key. You're not doing all that. And then they look at you like you've changed. That's because that's the baseline you created. That doesn't mean be a cheap person on every day and make it crappy just so it's just up from here. But like in general, you set that baseline and you punish yourself because all we do is validate to our bosses that no matter how shit you treat us, we're gonna give you the outcome you want. And even though we keep complaining that we want more from you, we're still gonna give you this amazing outcome. And that's literally where I've got to a point. I'm just like, why do I keep doing this? Because nothing is changing. Like honestly, nothing is changing. So yeah, my brain right now when it comes to like work and all that, it's gone past the time now. I'm switching off. Someone else handle it. You don't care about me enough. But like I think these behaviors, I think between me and you, we're petty people, but petty in ways
Yes.
we're petty in ways that hurts us more than it hurts other people sometimes. When you deep it, and I think it's a habit we've built. I know you do, and I know I do, and I know you know I do, because you've seen my pettiness in action sometimes, right? And it's almost like we will stay in the dirt, we'll hang in a mess, just to watch someone get punished at some point. We will stay in that environment just to watch them get punished and just to enjoy our little win, and then leave. And what we forget is that the environment was toxic for everyone in there, including the person you're punishing and including yourself. And you've just chosen to stay in there until you've got what you've wanted. And you've got that little bit of satisfaction. Now you're ready to leave. When really, you could have just left. Because either way, whether they get punished or not, it wouldn't even benefit you. If you left earlier, you would have got a genuine better benefit for yourself. But I've realized I've done that so much. It's literally a habit of mine where like I would stay to prove people wrong. I'll put myself in a situation where I'll do something to prove people wrong. And it has become a habit because it's satisfied. It feels so rewarding when I prove people wrong. And one thing I've learned is like, if someone just wants the outcome from you, they don't really give a crap about you, right? They don't care about whatever punishment you think you're dealing out to them. At the end of the day, they'll still be there. At the end of the day, they're still going to get paid. Like, there's them still being there for them to be punished means they're still getting paid until they get punished in whatever way you want them to be, right? And then when it comes time for you to leave, you've now got to pick yourself up, fix yourself, like breathe some clean air, clear all these toxins away from you, and go and put your life together. And what happens? They're still there in the mud where they've always been, the swines. Where they've been rolling around, where they've been happy and go lucky. They're still in that same position because that's where they enjoy life. And do you know what? Whilst they've been in that position, they've got everything they wanted out of you because you've worked harder to prove them wrong. Turns out your hard work has just been all they wanted from you. Simple as that. And it's a horrible habit. And right now, I've just switched my brain of being like, hold on. How about I just start working on me? How about I just start doing things that benefit me, things that can make my life better? And like, I don't really care what you think of me. I don't really care of you thinking like, oh, like he thinks he's all that. I don't really give a crap because if I was to leave or if I was to move on to something better, I genuinely will forget about you. And I don't care what you think when I'm gone. I can't control what you do. I can't control your mental processes. But yeah, I think that's a habit that I'm so keen to just throw in the bin of, like being so petty. I wanted to see someone repent for what I view as bad behavior. It's almost like thinking like we're judge, jury, and executioner of things that are right or wrong in the world. And sometimes it's just not worth it. It just isn't. That's how I view it.
Yeah. I hear you, dude.
But yeah. But there have been good stuff that's been happening though. I know you've been doing a lot of reading about this. I remember
Yes, dude.
I feel like
I've been wanting to talk about this,
if I'm right,
for a very, very long time.
Yeah, literally since we talked about podcast, I feel like you've wanted a reason to talk about these books and this topic. We've slowly touched on it, and even when you started the marathon, even when even with like the Thai boxing, all these things, the whole idea of the podcast technically was built around building good habits, building a better mindset. It was making ourselves accountable so we become better people. I mean, we're like what, 17, 18 episodes in, not much has changed, but we're trying. We're getting there.
No, I think when we talked about this, there's two topics that we talked about, and one was habits, and the other was like doing hard shit when you don't feel like doing it. That's going to be a later episode. I'm not going to say it's the next episode because it might not be. We might have another idea, but a lot of what I'm going to talk about is going to be from Atomic Habits, and when I read this book genuinely, I think, changed my life. I know there's two books that I would say changed my life, I would say. Actually, no, probably only this one, but also Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. But but Atomic Habits in particular genuinely changed how I viewed the world, like in terms of like how to get shit done.
I feel like Atomic Habits made the David Goggins mindset seem achievable in simpler ways, and through just general life activities, not just like burn yourself out, but it puts it in a logical way that was like, actually, there is a path to success.
Yeah, because with a lot of books, there's a lot of shit books. There's a lot of generic self-help books that say, "Oh, just think positive and like things will happen." I know we've already talked about that in an episode, but Atomic Habits is when people, because in work, in my previous job as well, people knew that I read a lot. Like at lunch, I read, and people will go like, "Oh, Lewis, like, what book do you recommend if I'm looking to, basically unfuck up my life and get shit done, in terms of like my career or my fitness and things like that?" And I said, right, I'm not going to recommend a ton of books to you. I'm going to recommend you one, because I will read like, say I've read 50 books, and maybe two of those books will actually stay in my brain and be like, oh fuck, like that was a great book that will actually have an impact on my life. This is that book. And I recommend it to everybody, like absolutely everybody. It's this, this Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins, and Ikigai. Ikigai is an amazing book as well, but we'll go into that in another episode. I'm not gonna talk about that now. But the reason why Atomic Habits was so good as a book, as opposed to the generic, think positive and things will help out and it's all that sort of stuff, it's not very practical. Atomic Habits breaks down how to make, well, they call it atomic because it's small, the small habits to change your life, essentially. And it could be from very minor things that I do now. So one of the main principles of Atomic Habits is basically to embed a habit into your life. One of the main things is you've got to make it very easy to do. And for bad habits that you no longer want to do, you make them more difficult to do. So I'll make an example. A few examples for myself. So one of the things which I wanted to do more was to take my vitamins, like daily vitamins, because vitamin D, most people in UK have a vitamin D deficiency because there's no fucking sunlight here. So I now take vitamin D every day. And the principle of design your environment to make your habit easier to do is, as opposed to having it in the cabinet behind everything lost, have it on your bedside table, or what's the first thing that you do in the morning. And now that's my first thing. There's another thing which I wanted to do more recently is to kind of like take supplement before I go to bed to increase my sleep. And it's this, which is calcium, magnesium, and zinc. And this increases my recovery because Whoop tells me so. And
yes, Dr.
now,
Sebi.
as opposed to having this as opposed to now having this in my bathroom, I will have this by my bed, and it's the last thing I will see before I go to sleep. So I remember to take it. And it's things like even working out. I will have my clothes to work out on my chair right next to where I wake up. So I go, oh, okay. And I'll go and work out. And it just makes it easier to do, because basically in the mornings, you're at your worst point to make decisions. And so if you want to make a habit of working out every morning, you got to make it as easy as possible to do. And then, as opposed to being like, oh, what do I wear? Where are my clothes? And shit like that. If you actually organize yourself and you make a habit of doing that before you go to bed, you wake up, it's the first thing. The decision is already made for you. Mark Zuckerberg has done this with the clothes that he wears to work, which is just like a t-shirt and jeans. He will just have that every single day. So it's just a decision he doesn't have to make. So he saves his decision making for bigger decisions.
Someone we know from uni, do you remember Fessel? Fessel was our friend that we met in Thai boxing. Yeah. So Fessel told me once about, and I don't even know if he remembers telling me this, but I remember it came from him. He's telling me about all the top CEOs almost like have a point system in their heads, and it's like decision points. And it's like, you've got to imagine it like everyone has like a max cap of the number of points they can use each day. And the job of these top CEOs is to avoid using these points. It's basically be very stingy with the points. So when you wake up, you decide to brush your teeth. When you wake up, you decide like to shower, all these things. Any decision you make, any kind of new creative process or thought you make, it's a use of one of these decision points. The clothes you wear, decision points. The training, all these things. Like if you have multiple cars, the cars you choose to drive that day, that's a decision point. And he basically said the more decision points you can save for the later in the day, the more opportunities you have to make the right creative decisions during that day. So if you don't waste it all in the morning, it's almost like you have more points to use at work or when you've got a task to achieve and all these things. And I don't know how much I agree with that to a degree of like individual points, but I agree with it to the degree of like energy that you have and the capacity to just process things in life.
Absolutely.
And it's because it's almost like when I'm developing a product or when I'm working on like a new product idea, I've taken a really weird rule of like the user's interactions is like tiny cuts. And how many cuts does it take for them to reach their outcome? Right? There's only so many cuts before you bleed out. And the thing is, sometimes people don't realize the tiny cuts until it's too late. It's like falling on a bed of stinging nettles. You don't realize you're in the bed of stinging nettles until you wake up and you're itchy as hell and you're in loads of pain. And that's what happens when like someone is interacting with a product or a service. It's almost like you go into it, you use it. Okay, now I have to click this. Okay, great. Now I have to fill this form. But deep down, it's like, I really want these trainers, so I'm going to go get these trainers. Okay, now I have to enter my credit card. Okay, great, I've entered my credit card. I now have to enter my billing address. Okay, now I have to enter my shipping address. I have to do all these little things. And it's almost like it's taking 20 steps to get there. You go on the platform like Amazon, you already entered those details before. Buy now. Done.
Yeah.
Like if you kept using eBay and having to do that, you go to Amazon and you do that, you're gonna like inherently you start to resent it. It's like once again, I'm using relationship as an example, but it's like a crappy relationship. The tiny little arguments and on their own, they seem insignificant. When you have 20 of them a week, it starts to be like, this person really pissed me. And then when someone's like, why did they piss you off? And you'll be like, oh, they had all my hot chocolate. They were like, oh, that's not that deep. But like, if that happens so many times, it stacks and you're just like, I'm fed up, I'm done. And I see that as like, when I'm trying to form a habit, it's that mindset of like, how can I make it easier to get to that outcome? How can I make it easier in my day so then I have an enjoyable end to my day? Because I feel like deep down, I slowly develop a resentment for something. And what I need to be able to do is get myself in a position where my subconscious doesn't pick up on these little nuances. So I develop that resentment. So it's almost like rather than decision points going down, it's like an annoyance bar that goes up. Yeah. And I've just got to stop it getting up to the top at the end of each day or the end of like the goal. That's basically what I aim to do.
Yeah. No, it's true, dude. And it's like going back to the decision-making process as well. And Sam, I don't know if you know this number, right? Do you know how many calories, percentage-wise, your brain will use?
20% or something like that?
20%. I did not know this. like 20% of the calories you consume, your brain will be burning it. Like 320%. Sorry, 320 calories, I think, on average. Is 320 calories average your brain will burn, despite being 2% of your body weight. This is why when you're stressed and when you have a lot of shit going on,
just tired,
you're exhausted. And I was speaking to my dad about this when I was comparing marathons, and he was saying to me, like, Lewis, you do realize you're spending I was saying, like, I felt a lot better after the second one, but because I trained different and everything like that. He was like, yeah, but you also had way less pressure on yourself. And he was like, I think you're underestimating how much energy you burn when you're overthinking and overanalyzing and you're stressing. And I was like, oh, really? So that's something which I've been very mindful of in the past year or so as well. And I think that's also helped with, like, you know, going back to the habits in terms of like making decisions easier, because although people might think it's really minuscule, being like, oh, it's just like, you know, what to wear or what shoes to wear, or it's not that deep. It is that deep. And
do you know what?
If you sweat the small details, you need to sweat the small details. You really, really do, because you can't be able to sweat the big shit.
Exactly. You know what having a habit feels like? It's like, we were talking about Dragon Ball Z earlier, and that's why it's remembering me. It's like Ultra Instinct, where your brain, you just do stuff, and all of a sudden, it doesn't seem hard anymore to do it.
Exactly.
It doesn't seem hard to do the thing. Like, I'll compare it to when I have to learn like a new combo in Thai, right? The first day, it's just a headache. Because in my head, I'm thinking about every single step in that combo, right? A punch, kick, knee, wherever it is. I'm doing it again and again. It becomes, oh, for fuck's sake, another punch. I'm tired. And then I'll sleep over it. The next day, someone goes to do something to me. The combo just flows. And sometimes I'll do it and I'll be like, oh, what happened? Like, why are you on the floor? Like, sometimes it just happens.
It's actually great that you mentioned that, because that's another thing I want to go into in another episode, is when we talk about flow. Because I want to read this book. It's actually called Flow, and it talks about how you tap into it. Because there'll be times where, you know, I'm trying to edit something and it takes me ages and ages and ages, but then I'll do it for 5 minutes, and all of a sudden I've been editing on autopilot for 2 hours, right? And going back to Thai boxing is a great example of you know, when you're throwing a jab for the first time, because you feel like your body is not supposed to move in this way, and then all of a sudden you Mr. Miyagi yourself into knowing when to block and do all sort of stuff where you didn't know how to do it before. And like you said, habits is the same way. And I remember a few weeks ago, because I was stressing, because due to things like work, like my habit was always, I wake up, I will go to the bathroom, piss, whatever, wash my hands, take vitamin D spray, get ready, journal, then go gym. Like, that was always my habit. When I was stressed, doing each of those things felt like it was taking all of my energy. I was speaking to Rosie about this. I was like, these things that I do on autopilot, I'm finding really, really difficult to do. And because I was stressed out about all this sort of stuff, it was taking over just my entire thought process and my habits. Because I'm waking up stressing about work, and then don't really feel like going to the gym because, you know, I'm thinking about work and all the things I have to do. And it was just like taking over my life. And it was like then I was like, okay, because now it didn't work out for 3 days because I slept badly because of work, I'm now getting out of the habit. And what I found with habits that are particularly good for you, they're usually the most difficult to stick with. Like, it's really easy to eat shit every day. It's not easy eating clean every day and going to the gym every day, but you can make it easy if you stick with it. Like, no one has ever said, oh, it's been really hard, you know, lying in and not working out and, you know, going to bed late. Like, no one has ever said that in history of time, because that's the bad shit that is easy to fall into. And so sometimes it takes like you will hit bumps in habits. It's not like once I do this habit and I work out every day for 66 days, it's now going to be a part of my life. It's not, because shit happens.
No, you're still gonna have bad days.
It's the same thing with like Malcolm Gladwell's like, 10,000 hours, you're a month. That's not true. It's not actually true. Because it's how you practice and how you
It's
the quality of your
also
practice.
a habit. I see, because I know you brought up flow, and I think you're right. There's a difference between a habit and a flow. And when I said ultra
Yeah,
instinct, I think that pointed more towards flow. But I
yeah.
think what I was alluding more to was like when the habit, it just becomes it. You don't think about it much. And
Minimal
what I was
energy.
really
Yeah,
alluding to, it's not just minimal energy. It's just less painful to achieve because you've already reinforced that you can do it by
it's
doing it so
it's
often.
yeah.
So
It's almost
a
like
habit,
it's
it's not
it's
it's not a
almost like
flow.
it's going. It's almost like it's going into the bank of the whatever percentage of your brain it is you don't use. It goes into
Yeah,
that.
it goes into that.
It
But
goes
look,
into the
it's almost
autopilot part of your brain, not the 10% that you
not even
actually have to
always,
think about.
because it depends on like what the task is, right? If it's running, then yes, it goes into that part of your brain where you in your head you're just moving and it becomes easier to do every time.
Yeah,
Really, that's still flow. That really is all still flow. I think habit goes into a different part of your brain. It's almost like a habitual thing is something that you become almost dependent on that process. Your body finds like a dopamine high from that process or achieving that goal. It
yeah,
becomes it's basically a new way of achieving a dopamine high, but you train yourself, you trick your brain into enjoying that.
like yeah,
And I find that in habits, there's still like a lot of actives, there's still a lot of conscious processing in what you're
yeah, of course.
doing. However, you struggle to see it as a difficult task because you've done it so often. There is no
Mm,
logical reason for you to see it as difficult because you know where even when you're running and you're a perfect runner, you know at some point it's going to hurt, but you know
yeah,
you'll get past it because logically every time it's hurt, there's a point where you get your second win, there's a point where you get
mm,
better, and logically you know that you'll rest tomorrow, you'll be back to normal. It's been the same with Thai boxing. Like I still get to the same point in each round where I feel like I'm dying because I've overexerted myself. But I also know that in the past, on all these training sessions I've had, I didn't die. I didn't have. I made it. I made it to the end. And it's almost like as I kept doing it, my body's kind of gone, "Why are you panicking?" And I started
mm.
to learn actually it's the panicking that made me feel tired and all these things. What I want to actually touch on with in terms of habit was I kind of lost my own train of thought here. Was habits is to me is replacing one addiction with another.
Yes, I would definitely agree with that because, for example, if it's like, like for me, I have a sweet tooth, right?
Yeah.
And say, for instance, I would eat like if there's a chocolate bar, I'm eating it. The whole thing's gonna go, right? It's
Mm.
just that's just how I think. I don't have I'll have a bit and then put it in the fridge. It's just not gonna happen. You don't get rid of, you replace. So
Mm.
instead of eating a whole dairy milk, whatever it is, if I have a protein bar, like grenade protein bar, I'm still satisfying the sweet tooth, but I'm actually getting in the protein, and that's the shit that I'm trying to sneak
Mm.
in. It's the same way, like if your mum wanted you to have vegetables, she wouldn't have it
Yeah.
separately. It will be embedded in the food that you actually want to eat. That's why they would like sneak them in. It's like when you want a dog to take medicine, you don't just say,
Mm.
"Oh, here, have the pill." You roll it in ham because they want that shit. So that's how
Exactly.
you got to sandwich
I'll
in habits.
I'll go and say because Mumsy already knows I used to smoke. She just pulled me aside. I went to drop her off at the airport and she was just like, "You used to smoke, didn't you?" And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "I know you did when you were with her. You used to smoke, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah, I did." And she was just like, "But you've quit now." I was like, "It's been a long time since I had a cigarette." I'm like, I've not smoked in a very long time. And all having that, but it did remind me of that was a very bad hard habit to kick. It took way longer than when I had my first cigarette. I thought
How
it would be to quit.
how did you get rid of?
How, trauma, trauma helped. Trauma, stubbornness that helped. I would say I got rid of it because in my head I associated it with like a demon I had to get rid of. I
Mm,
basically wrapped it. I redefined what smoking was at that time to me, which was a
I'm
remnant of an experience I needed to just forget about. And I basically wrapped
absolutely.
it in that, and I basically bubbled it as in like, right, if my life is shit now, what do I need to just forget about it? So when I stopped
I'm
eating meat, that became a part of that process
yeah.
of quitting. When I started going gymming, when I started gymming heavily to a point where I lost I looked like a Skeletor after a while. I looked ripped, but my face looked sunken in. It looked pretty bad. But I basically I dug in deep. And I remember looking back at a picture of me and just being like, who let me get that skinny? Who allowed that to happen? And then Sarah was just like, it was just a phase, right? You're better now. But I was like, I was anorexic. No one stopped me. And then I kind of look back and I was just like, that was a reminder of how hard it was to kick that habit. I've relapsed a few times since then. Like I've had cigarettes or I've smoked a few times since then. But then after that, I was just like, no, like I stopped vaping. I stopped all of that. And it's been definitely over a year now, actually, since I quit smoking altogether or anything like that. No vaping. No, it's been over a year since I quit vaping because I vaped for a while after I quit smoking. So it's been over a year since I quit vaping.
I'm very glad that. Sorry, continue.
I was going to say, and why I've basically replaced it is with a work ethic. And the dopamine high comes from knowing that every task I complete for myself is a positive benefit to my future. Whereas whenever I had a vape or whenever I did anything like that, it was a negative impact on my future. It was a good short-term high, but it was the point where I was like a bloody nitty and I was just like, what the hell am I doing? Like I'll go to Sainsbury's, grab a vape, and I'm like ripping it apart, like, oh my God, I need to get this in my mouth right now. And then just like
pause.
And then I remember bro. Okay, reset. Like I remember I'd be sat in the car. And like Jesus Christ.
You need to get this in my mouth right now.
You're 28 now, grow up. Jesus Christ, you're a big man now. Anyway, so I'm not driving, I'm trying to vape. I'm in a meeting with people, and like I realized I had the habit of like I didn't even realize doing. That's what I meant about flow. Like you start doing antics that you don't even know you're doing. Like I'm literally talking to someone, and I'm just like I can catch my right hand bringing a vape to my mouth, and I'm just there like, what the fuck? And then like someone on the call will be like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, I don't know. Like it just became so like easy to just be like puff. Even like turn my camera off, and then like I'll have my camera on. And there'll be time where like I have my camera on, talk to someone, just put the vape in my mouth, take a breath, and then just be like, hold on, did I just? But now me and that person know I vape. I'm trying to say like I didn't vape, so I'm just holding my breath. I'm just waiting for them to go. So I can just blow it. Like it just got ridiculous. And what I'm trying to say is that the way I got rid of that habit was I wrapped it all into the understanding that this is all a weakness, and I'm trying to become a stronger person. Every time I do it, I'm letting myself down, and it's pathetic. I looked at myself as like someone who pitied myself and went like, "This is nitty behavior. This is crackhead behavior. What are you doing?" One thing that did make it easier was I used negative reinforcement to quit. So anytime I wanted to vape, and I'll tell you now, Lewis, vaping was harder to quit than smoking was. Way harder to quit because I struggled to quit vaping. But anytime I felt like vaping, I would have a nicotine gum, but I'd have like two of them, and they were horrible. They make your throat feel like crap. Like it makes you feel ill. And then I'd be there like, oh, I couldn't think of like breathing in vape now. Like it's horrible. And I just kept doing that. And I didn't even finish the packet of nicotine gum. I ended up giving it all to my mate. But by the time I finished like just one sachet of it, I was done. Like I was like, I can't vape. I can't do anything like that again. I'm just done. So yeah, that's how I stopped vaping. Like, would I smoke something again? Probably not on my wedding day. I'll have a cigar because I always wanted to try a cigar. But what I'm saying is that I can do that now, knowing that the habit wouldn't kickstart. I can lock it into an experience. Yeah. I know you've been longing to say something. I just wanted to wrap it up with. Have you heard about that the rat in a cage experiment?
No.
It's almost like, because I feel like we talk about habits and addictions that come like in this part of our conversation, they're one of the same thing because it's a negative experience. When you say addiction, it's usually like the negative connotation of a habit, right? It's something you keep doing again, but it's bad for you. Although sometimes people will say like running is my addiction. Shut up. Anyway, I'd say like the rat in a cage, like it was an experiment that was done. A lot of people dispute it now for some nonsense reasons of like, oh, he did this. I don't care. The philosophy around it still makes sense. I think it was like a scientist basically just gave a rat in a very terrible environment lots of like Coke, like laced water. They laced the water with Coke. And no matter how crap the environment was, that rat would keep going to the Coke water. And then when they took it out, the rat would be like, what the fuck? Like, where's my Coke? Like, give me my drugs now. Give me my drug water now. And then what they then did was like, they took that rat out of the Coke environment. They put it into like a very healthy environment, spinning wheel, good food, all that stuff. And then they replaced it with normal water. And they realized that the rats embodied what they assumed would be positive behaviors. Like it enjoyed its environment. And what the outcome or what the discussion around it is that the addiction is the substance itself that you're using, the experience itself that you're using, that you feel like you're addicted to, isn't what you're addicted to. your body has almost like categorized a response to a scenario. So, you know, when you go out for drinks, you have mates who go out for drinks and they have to have a cigarette with their drink. Like, I'm out, I'm drinking, I have to have a cigarette in my hand. Any other day, they're not smoking. As soon as you get to a pub, you get a pint in the hand, a cigarette's in the other hand. It's because in their brain, that's the response to that scenario. You put them in like another environment where no one smokes. It's a yoga retreat. Anyone who's super addicted to smoking, well, most people, they'll still do their routine, they'll relax and all that. As soon as they smell a cigarette, their brain goes back into this is the scenario. We smell smoking. We're in the smoking area. Let's smoke. So that's the experiment. And then I took that onto myself in terms of looking, right, if I put myself in the right environments, then that habit, my brain does not validate the scenario for me to trigger that habit or to trigger that behavior to come into play. And if I can keep myself out of that environment for long enough, I can become accustomed to a better lifestyle. And then the next challenge is when I go back into that environment is knowing that I'm going to want to smoke, but then being like, don't do it. Don't do it. And then what I did was I slowly changed my response to that environment. So there was a point where I stopped going out. I started making excuses. COVID helps because no one went out anyway. But like, there was a point where I stopped going out. I'd be like, people going to the pub. I'm like, no, because if I go to the pub with them, I end up like vaping. I end up smoking. And that's why I started vaping actually, because then I'd go, whilst everyone's smoking, I'd vape. And at least I was doing something a bit healthier. But then when it came to that, I was just like, crap. So what I did was I stopped going out, stopped being as social with people. I kind of like kept to myself and just kept in this bubble of like, don't put myself in scenarios where my body feels like it needs to smoke or it needs to vape. Don't do that. And then after a while, I was just like, okay, now I need to slowly start re-engaging. So I'll go to, instead of going clubbing, I'll go to like the pub with someone, or I'll go for like a meal, but we'll eat outdoors, and then slowly I'll go, my mates will be like, let's go smoking areas, and I'll go sit in the smoking area with them. I can smell it, and like my brain's like, oh, just grab a cigarette, grab a vape, do something. I'm like, no, it's like punishing myself. And now I can literally sit through whole conversations where, like in a smoking area, and I would not want to smoke. In fact, I hate being in there because the smell is just like, ugh. But like now, like I don't have that connection of I'm having a good time. Let's double down on it by smoking a cigarette. Let's double down on it by vaping. And that's essentially, I think it's the environment you create for yourself and the connection with your brain to that environment and what you want from that environment. You could, and simply put, you can train yourself into having a better outcome from that experience. You just got to go through that shit heat first. You got to have a bit of a David Goggins twist, I guess. As much as I bitch about the guy, you got to have a bit of a David Goggins twist for certain scenarios.
Yeah, I think I'm very glad that you. Thank you for diving into that. You provided a lot of valuable insights there, and I'm glad you got rid of that. I'm really glad that you went into as much detail as you did. I think that was like 20 minutes.
Yeah,
but like,
I know. I was just like, I've been waffling like a champion. Sorry about that.
But basically, to summarize, what you did, the reason why I asked you how you got rid of that is because you did what the book very much went into, which was you basically had an identity change. You changed your core identity. You went from someone who said, oh, I will smoke when in social scenarios too, and you changed your identity to yourself as I don't smoke. And you changed your core identity because you're like, this is current Sam. I want to be this Sam, and this Sam doesn't smoke. And then you adopted the habits of that person accordingly, and that person doesn't smoke. And once you accept that as a core part, and once that's actually, when the subconscious part of your brain takes that in, it's easy to do. And I had a very similar experience once I read this, and it was definitely, for example, when I went to the first marathon, I was like, okay, this is current Lewis, who's 23, weighs 16 stone badly, and like, you know, is just out of shape. And I was like, I want to be this Lewis who does a marathon and, you know, like enjoys life a lot more and is in shape and, you know, doesn't make, you know, size L shirts look muscle fit. Do you know what I mean? I genuinely remember seeing a picture of myself on my 23rd birthday being like, this shit can't run. Because once I saw this picture of myself, I was like, I when you look in the mirror constantly every day, you're like, you don't really notice it. But when you see a certain angle, when you see that, it's not the side profile, that diagonal profile, no one speaks about. I spoke about this in my flatmate the other day.
Exactly what picture you're talking about. I know exactly what picture you're talking about.
I know what it is. It's not on the internet anymore. But I was like, damn, like I've lost my way.
You were thinking, oh my god, bro, we just had like a mind melt. I think we're thinking of the exact same thing.
It's the blue shirt. It was a blue shirt.
Yeah, it's in my head. I remember that.
I was like, I had my bit. I was clean shaven. My face was round. I looked like Fat Albert. I was like, this shit can't run. And I remember at that point, I was in such a low moment because I'll tell you what, Sam. At that point, I was getting up at 7 or whatever, sighing, going to work, finishing at 9, and that just kept on happening. And I'll get back late and I'll eat shit, and it was rinse and repeat. And then the weekend, I would satiate those feelings with like drinking, whatever. It was a mess. So when I decided to do the marathon, I was like, well, Marathon Lewis. Okay, I know like probably people train for a marathon and drink, fine. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to make sure I do this to the best of my ability. And once I'm marathon training, I'm not going to drink. And so once I made that decision in May, I wasn't like going cold turkey straight away. The first thing I did was cut beer. So I cut beer. That was the first thing. And then it was, going to gym, running. On lunch, I would actually bring my gym stuff, put it in my locker at work, so I had no excuse for my lunch breaks to go to gym. So I was working out every single day, and I wasn't drinking, making sure, Marathon Lewis will probably drink a lot of water and eat cleaner. So I was making meals, and so I didn't have an excuse to order Deliveroo, deleted Deliveroo, so I can actually do those things. And I was constantly really, really studying in terms of okay, how can I make all this stuff as easy as possible to do? This was actually before I even read Atomic Habits. It just confirmed what I should be doing. And it was like, okay, get your clothes out. Okay, I know where I lived at that time, the walk to the gym was 25 minutes. So if I go to work, there's 2 minutes around the corner. So I'll make sure I go to that gym because it's easier to go to. And it was basically completely changing my environment and making sure that I was sticking to this Lewis, not current Lewis. And it was like, even the things that I was listening to are at work, instead of listening to music, I was listening to podcasts. And it was just I was completely analyzing every single thing that I was doing in terms of how could I make this person a reality. And eventually, after a long while of not drinking and actually running, it worked. And it was really, looking back now, it was actually nuts, because I remember I said this in the first podcast, I thought, oh yeah, I could do a 5K because I did Thai boxing at uni. Of course the fitness just stays because I'm 22. I ran a mile and I was seeing dots, and I was like, it was one of the most humbling experiences of my life. And I was like, okay, this is actually fucked up.
Yep.
Because at this rate, I'm gonna, I thought about it drastically on purpose to make sure I took it seriously, because I was like, the current way I'm going to an early grave if I don't make these changes.
Do you think moments like that? We have moments like that when you end up letting go of a good habit, right? When you end up letting go of a good routine, you start to realize that these are the repercussions. These are the things you wanted to avoid. But then when you're in your bag, when I had my 8-pack, when I looked good and everything, I remembered what it was like not to have an 8-pack. But as I got used to being ripped, I slowly forgot how hard it was to get ripped. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So in my head, it became so much easier to just slip up and have a donut and have all of these and go out more and not go for a run. It was so much easier to stop doing Thai boxing for 5 years. It was so easy to stop doing all of that, because in my head I was like, I can get this back again. I got it back the first time.
I've done it before.
And, it's just one day. It's fine.
You don't have that metabolism of a 19-year-old.
Exactly. I'm there getting hammer-fisted by someone who weighs half my size. And I'm just wondering, where did it all go wrong?
Absolutely.
And then I just realized it was that bloody donut. It was that. It was the donut. It was the 2 weeks. It was a 2 week straight of no exercise. It was literally COVID happened, and that was my excuse to stay in. I didn't even do push-ups indoors. I didn't do sit-ups. Like things that was so. It was so easy to be able to do like 200 push-ups, not in one go, but like 200 push-ups across like 2 or 3 sets. 200 sit-ups. It was so easy to do all of that and then go to bed. That was my bedtime routine at one point in my life. And then now I wake up, I'm just like, I'll try and do 50. Like, bro, the same energy it took me to do that. I could sit there and eat a whole like Krispy Kreme multi-pack. Man. You know the 12 one? Yeah. I can have that on my own. I could now I could eat that one sitting and I'll be fine.
Bro, I tell you what, the fitness in particular, it died the minute I got painful. A 9 to 6. It died the minute I got a 9 to 6 job. The minute I got a 9 to 6 job.
I've got a standing desk, and that's the best I get out of my sedentary lifestyle. It's going up and down.
To be fair, I actually really want those standing desks and those treadmill underneath. Like, I want to get all that shit in the next place.
That might be my next purchase.
There's one thing I want to talk about as well, because it's a very core part of how I got my habits to stick. And basically, I think there's, I'm going to get the number wrong, but I think there was like 20 million or 11 million receptors in the human body. And 11 million, I think it's like 20 million receptors.
Big difference.
And 20 million receptors in the human body, and I think 11 million of them are your eyes. So that's why having visual cues to make habits stick is incredibly important. Because if you can't see what you're supposed to be doing, it's very easy to miss. And that's why I have a cork board.
Yeah.
I have a whiteboard immediately above my desk, and whenever there's something that I need to be doing, like, dude, I have my whole workout routine here. I have the podcast episodes that I have to edit, and it's the first thing that I see it all the time, and it just reminds me what I'm supposed to be doing. So I have my workout routine there. I literally have journal in the top right hand corner, and this is basically my it works because it's like the way that my brain works. It's not like organized neatly in files. It's all scrambled. But it makes sure it's like my own way of having like a habit tracker and making sure I'm doing those things.
License plates and graphs so much?
Probably. Because I mean, people say like, "Oh, I'm a visual learner," or "Oh, I'm not a visual learner." Everybody's a visual learner because
unless you're blind.
Unless you're blind.
Yeah, but you have something for them as well. Audible.
We have something for them. You know what? That's for someone who is blind to tell. I'm not gonna speak for the blind. But if you're visually impaired, I would genuinely love to know. Actually, I would love to know how you. I would love to know how you're, because I'm in line with Lewis in terms of pre-pictures, pre-reminders. There was a point in my life where before the BMW arrived, it was my background on everything. My phone, my computer, everything. It was a reminder that my life was about to get expensive. I need to work harder for a pay rise. So I would love to know what people that don't have visual cues do. If I were to guess, because I know I don't know, but I have heard from multiple sources, and it's just, I think it's common knowledge. Like when one of the senses is impaired, the others are, like your hearing apparently goes mad when you go blind. Like, it's like because I actually really dive deep into this because I was just really curious about it. It's Braille. So my grandmother on my dad's side, she had a stroke very early, and she could understand Braille. And I was fascinated at how you knew how to like feel the bumps on the page and understand exactly what was on the page. And basically your fingertips, like the sensitivity in your fingertips improves, like basically when you learn how to read. And through constantly understanding or practicing reading Braille, you will just go like, oh yeah, like you read it just by doing like this, as opposed to being like, okay, I have no, because if we try to read Braille now, obviously we'd be clueless.
You know, with the self-validation for developing a new skill through habits, of like, if you fuck up once and it sets you back, that kind of screws up like your perception of how far you go in that habit, and it's like a reminder that maybe I shouldn't do this, and it can push you back a bit.
You know what I said actually, because you asked me a few episodes ago when we talked about setbacks. you asked me how I bounce back from habits, and I said I've
Yeah.
made a habit of fucking up a lot. So in turn, I've made a habit of having to bounce back. Like if you go through life when you're coasting, it's like there's so many people. I said this before. There's so many people at school who were able to just coast through and get A's, then all of a sudden that ability stops. And it may have happened at A level, it may have happened at uni. And then all of a sudden they need to study and they need to try hard and they failed for the first time and they don't know how to deal with it. Or people who are naturally been in shape and then metabolism stops. And now it's like, oh, I have to work out like really hard now.
I have to try harder now.
It's stopped, and now you have to try hard. So for me, I've never been naturally superly like for school. I've always had to like try hard. I never just woke up when puberty happened and had abs. Like that never happened. So I've always had to put in effort to get what I want. So, and I'm glad that's been the case, because I used to envy those people all the time, be like, God, like you can just eat whatever you want and be jacked. And yeah, and now look. And you said it happened to like so many people from uni in Thai boxing have now like we've
all just
there anymore.
Let it go. Whereas, like, I used to eat like a packet of Haribos before training. Nothing. Yeah. I can eat a meal now and I'm throwing up. I'm throwing up after
you
2
look
punches.
at a meal and put on 2 kg.
Literally.
Like, yeah.
Back then I would lose weight through just the sweat of eating.
Yeah. But but now because I've had the habit of putting in effort, it doesn't seem as hard as someone who's not put in as much effort. Does that make sense?
I get what you mean.
So, because that's how you asked me about setbacks. It's like, dude, I have setbacks for breakfast. I wake up with setbacks.
You trained yourself normal. Almost to see the setback as part of the process of that habit.
Because it has been part of the process.
It's part of that experience. Yeah. Whereas, like, I had a really big not a really big setback. I had a setback in training yesterday. So I had my first like four rounds of hard sparring yesterday against like everyone. I think I have my main spar partner called Martin, because he's trained to fight like a heavier guy. And I think by the time this comes out, I don't know. By the time this comes out, he wouldn't have had his fight yet. His fight's in September, so he's still got some time left. But I doubt the guy knows who I am to look me up, and there's not enough fights out of me for him to know who to like train for. So Martin will still kick his ass, in my opinion. So Martin, who's my spar partner, is training to fight someone around my size. And obviously it'll be hard if there were a time to come for me to fight, it'll be hard for me to find someone who weighs 100 kg. So like Martin is the closest person to my weight in my gym. He's nowhere near my weight, but he's the heaviest person other than me there. So we train together. And he's been doing it. I'd say he's been doing Thai boxing altogether, shorter period than me, but consistently longer than me. So my coach, actually, Lee, reminded me, I've been doing Thai boxing technically for 12 years. Because if you count from like first year of uni all the way up until now, and then the MMA and Thai boxing I was doing before I came to uni, I've been doing it for a very long time. But it's like, but technically, you've done it for the equivalent of someone who's done it for only 4 years. And I was like, what do you mean? It's like, you've taken so many breaks in between your different stints of Thai boxing. Yeah. Martin technically has more experience than you in Thai boxing. I felt it.
Yeah, you've had... Yeah, it's weird because I know I keep on saying I want to go back into Thai boxing at some point, and I do plan on doing it. But again, I've had, I think, 3 years off, and obviously I started first year and then did it second year, and I didn't do it in my final year. So I've done, I think, maybe 2.5 years total experience of Thai boxing.
Whereas I did, I'd honestly argue if I add it all up, 4 years. 4 years of solid training. Yeah. So because there's been so many on and off, right now my fitness is at the ground. And when I first joined, I couldn't even finish like 1 round of 3 minutes of skipping. And I'll get to this later, but like my coach has been saying about how like, oh yeah, your fitness is getting better and better. It's still not where it used to be when you were like your pinnacle at uni, but it's getting better and better. And it's been like one frustration of mine because I just want it. I want to be like that Sam again. So desperately bad. Yeah. And Martin is that Sam and arguably more. Right? But he's shorter than me. And I am bigger and stronger than him. Right? And I had to do a hard spar against Martin. And I'm not going to lie. The first round, I had him. First round, Martin was my baby. Second, third, fourth, and fifth, he carried me through that ring. He looked after me with his fist all up on my face. He was knee, and you know what? We didn't even do kicks. It was just punches and knees for most of it. But it was hard punches and knees, and he was fucking me up. It got to a point where I realized his punches were getting lighter, and I was like, "You're taking it easy on me," and like it felt like a setback. And then whilst I was there, Martin was just like, "Sam, you're right," and I'm just like, "I'm just pissed off because I know I can do better." And he's just like, "Sam, if we compare that to you when you first came back, you'd have given round halfway through round one, and you just survived 5 rounds. Yes, you were tough. You were puffed up, but you survived 5 rounds on your feet with your guard up, taking punches and still giving it back. No, you didn't knock me out, but you did 5 rounds straight, and each round was 3 minutes long with 1 minute of rest in between each one. And if I was to fight a normal fight for me, I think it would be probably like, depends on the event you fight at, but it would be like 1.5 minutes. So I'm already at like a good fitness to have like an amateur fight right now. But like, I would probably do like 2-3 rounds and I'll be done. But anyway, I'm at that fitness, and he was basically like, "You've come so far." And for a little bit, it felt like I'd really let myself down. When he said that, I was just like, I did actually finish a whole round of skipping earlier as well, actually.
Yeah.
I didn't have to stop once.
Have you heard of the term? I think I heard Terry Crews say this.
Yeah.
You need to adopt an attitude of be happy but not satisfied.
Yeah.
You should be happy that you are. Yeah. So because you're obviously, the goal is to get better than uni Sam, right?
Yeah.
But Sam 5 years ago, the past 5 years, you haven't even been close to what you're doing now. So
True.
If you were to measure what you've done in the last, how long we've been doing this podcast now? 18 weeks. At the beginning of this podcast, Sam, you weren't doing anything. You didn't even have a podcast, right? So
True. I wasn't even running.
Exactly. So now, in the past 18 weeks, the fact that it's even comparable to what you were doing 5 years ago is a win in itself.
That's true, to be fair.
And like Martin was saying, you would have even made 1 round. So you're better than you were yesterday. Maybe not you as Sam 5 years ago, but Sam 5 years ago had no job, had no house, had no cats, had no podcast, had no business. So Uni Sam had all the time in the world to do those things. So obviously, all you did at uni was Thai boxing. Because it sure as shit weren't your degree.
I didn't even do that. Oh my god, the facts. God, that's so true.
So Sam, you're working out 3 hours every day. God. So I don't know what the fuck you're so stressed about.
Lord.
It's like, you know what I did? So obviously I saw Deadpool and Wolverine when that came out.
Yeah.
Sick movie.
Oh my god, jealous.
And I saw, Hugh Jackman's 55 with like the greatest abs I think I've ever seen. But you go into his routine and like he works out like 3 hours twice a day. Like, and it has like £500,000 personal trainer. So, it's actually, I'm going to talk more about this as well. So It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I think it's when Mac gets ripped, and he does a really authentic video in terms of how he got into such shape. And it was like, well, all you need to do is get a really high paying job in Hollywood. Also, what's really great is that you also should get them to pay for a personal trainer for you and pay them like £500,000 a year. Also, they'll pay for a chef. So you need to get someone to pay for all your meals, someone who will train you and tell you exactly what to do. Then, maybe you then work out a few times. Also, because you're not working, you have 6 months off because you're not supposed to act for ages. You could just do whatever you want in the meantime and just sleep really well. So quit your 9 to 6, and then you'll be absolutely fine. So I know the reason why I'm saying this, because it was the most authentic view of being like, oh, you can definitely work out 3 times a week and just do 3 sets of 10, and you can be like me. It's not true. It's absolutely not true.
That's so true.
The reason why, just to bring this full circle,
that's
what you were at uni. You had nothing to do apart from, well, you did. You just didn't do it. You were just Thai boxing all the time. You're working out all the time. So Sam now is a better Sam than uni Sam. And you know that.
True.
Because you have shit to do. You have responsibilities. So
I actually earn money.
You actually earn money. So, of course, uni Sam is going to be better at Thai boxing because that's all he did.
True. Facts.
So to benchmark yourself against that would be wrong because both very different circumstances.
No, you're right. I hate that you're right, but you're right. Damn it.
But that being said, I understand because you have the evidence logged in your memory of I have done this before, why can't I do it now? That's very much how you're going to look at logistically. You don't think of the full story when you're getting punched in the face. You're thinking,
you don't.
I've never been punched like this before.
Yeah.
What is
why
this?
does he keep doing it?
Why is my blood leaving my body?
What is this red stuff?
This is usually my enemies. Like, that's what you're thinking. And I know that's how you're thinking.
It is. I'm not going to lie. I was looking at him like, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
Fucking horrible person.
Exactly.
But I love Martin. Love you, Martin.
Yeah. But, so like the habits that you have now are different to the habits you have then. So it's a completely different mind game that you're dealing with because you also probably have in the back of your head that you can't get too fucked up because otherwise you have a wedding soon, so you can't just be going around trying all these fancy kicks. You know what I mean? So you gotta think.
Boy, I'm saying it right now. The fact that I lose weight is going to make my wedding suit so much cheaper. I don't think you understand the quotes I've been getting from my sites.
Planning
the quotes they've been throwing at me for the fact that I don't fit in suits right now is ridiculous.
I want to ask you one thing because one of the things which I definitely made a habit for my business and working with things after work, particularly with editing, is that what I started to do was to load Premiere Pro on my laptop before I leave work so that when I come back, it's there for me to edit and it's ready. Because I noticed like the hardest thing for me to do was to actually just start the application. So for those who are listening, who are trying to do something business-wise, what would you say is a key habit for you that helped you start your business? Because for me, it was very much like a mental thing, like, working out, drinking water and looking after myself. So I have the energy to actually approach it. So I'm going to ask you that question before we go.
A habit I had that's helped me work on my business is I have a notebook by my bed because so when I struggle to sleep, my brain goes into overdrive and I start thinking of creative ideas because I get stressed about how I'm not going to be a millionaire by 30. And then when I'm going to bed, that's another day gone towards my goal of being 30. Now, I'm not a millionaire still. So my brain starts processing all these different ways I can make money. And what usually happens is when I wake up, I forget about all these ideas. So I have a book I always have a book either in my backpack. Anytime I've got a bag on me and I've got my laptop on me, there's a book in there somewhere, a little notebook in there. And I always keep one nearby that I can just write the idea on. And I like that. What I do is when I wake up, what I try to do is I wake up in the morning and I set my alarm with the idea to devote at least 1 hour of that morning before work, if I can, to my business ideas. Whether it's I've already got one on the go and I just need to do a little bit towards it, whether it's I just need to write a paragraph towards it, or whether it's like, I just need to do a bit more research. I just devote an hour to doing that. And it makes it feel like I'm achieving something towards that goal, but it also makes things seem more achievable. It makes things seem more manageable. And I turn it onto little bite-sized chunks. An example would be like Anxious Extrovert. We're relaunching our content platform. So every day before work, annoying, yes, I've not had enough sleep. I still try my best to do this. It's not as habitual as I want it to be, but it's getting there. It's becoming easier to do every day. I wake up and I will open up our content, our editing webpage, and I'll start uploading like a blog or upload like a video. I'll link to like a YouTube video and I'll write about it and I'll be a content post. And I'm just slowly doing that so we can build like the catalog of content on the platform. That's every day I aim to try and do like 5 or 10. Sometimes I can only do 2, but regardless, as long as I've I've done something with that hour, whether it's researching something or whether it's working towards another content piece. As long as I've done that, makes me feel good. And that's the habit I've been doing. And I think that helps in terms of it makes every day feel productive, no matter how shit it is. There's been
you've
some
moved the
kind of
needle
bar.
a little
I've
bit.
moved the needle a little bit.
Yeah.
And it does make me feel. And when like someone's talking smack to me at work or anything like that, I'm just looking like I could literally go mind my business right now if I wanted to. Like in all sense possible, I could go mind my business right now, because if that's what I could do in 1 hour, and I'm sat here for fucking 6 hours with you talking down to me, God, imagine what I can do in the 6 hours as well. It gives me that extra confidence, but it's not true, feeling shit.
Yeah, and it's like that. I like the notebook idea, because it's like that quote is if you're underthinking, read, and when you're overthinking, write. And it's so true.
That's so true.
When when there's loads of stuff being sent to me for work and I'm thinking I don't know where to start, I just write down everything that I need to do, and then I think of like the first like 3 things, and then out of those 3 things, then I choose the one thing that I can be doing right now. So yeah, I'm definitely with you on the notebook front. But I just realized,
throwing it back to you.
Yeah, for me, it's definitely I am definitely at my best when I work out. That has probably been the number one habit that I have formed, and the reason for it is because I said this in an earlier episode, but when I journaled before I worked out and after I worked out, I liked Lewis who worked out more. And in my job, I'm sitting down all day. I have way more energy to actually do the things I want to do once I work out. And, we talked about exercise in a previous episode, but you make better decisions. Like your cognitive brain actually works better. It's not for vanity metrics such as, we've talked a lot about, having washboard abs, all that sort of stuff. That's a bonus. I actually know that I'm a better person. I'm a nicer person once I work out, and there's no downside to it. So I would like to say in the past year, I've worked out a minimum of probably 4 or 5 times a week over the past year, just because I just know it's going to help me get to do what I need to do. Even if I go in there and I'm just on the treadmill for 10 minutes, like some days you only have 10% to give, but the number one most transformative habit I've installed is making working out a core part of my life. And I've, like I said in the previous one, I've quit Great North Run and I've gone back in the gym, and I have my routine out now and I'm absolutely loving it. And it's like my one time that I just feel like there's a win for the day. And you see the progress, and like I genuinely feel better than because I actually enjoy lifting and things like that. And I'm still going to embed like running into it, but it's just not running 4 or 5 times a week. It's just because that's just draining. And I'm already feeling a lot better. And it's when you look in the mirror and you're seeing like the newbie gains coming back because you're working out like and lifting in the gym like 4 or 5 times, it then makes you approach things better. So it's that's a key one. Journaling for me has been very important because I tend to overthink a lot. So making a habit of journaling, and how I made a habit of journaling is I journal before I work out. And that's another key way of kind of like embedding a habit is before you do the habit that you want to do the habit that you want to stick. So I've now made a habit of journaling before I work out. Beforehand, in a previous flat that I lived, it was a 25-minute walk to the gym. And one of the things I wanted to do was always listen to podcasts. So then I added in like podcasts into that walk as well. So that's another way of like adding in like consuming content that you want to do. So yeah, it's definitely journaling and working out and designing my environment around me to take the supplements that I should take that are good for me. So like the calcium and vitamin D spray. One of the things which I actually started yesterday as a part of, because I noticed after work, when I just want to work on a business, I will end up ordering food. And one of the things which I've done is kind of like, have you heard of Simmer Eats?
Yes, it's so I saw Chunks and all them were like promoting it, weren't they? Yeah.
I'm going to start in a couple of weeks getting those for work because because I work in the middle of central London, you either got to pay £12 for a Chipotle salad bowl, or you've got to get a ready meal that costs £5, but it's full of shit. So and one of the things which I'm taking more seriously, since I got back from holiday, is I'm eating super, super clean. So I'm going in the gym and doing my workouts, but I don't see the gains as much because my nutrition is not at the same level of effort as gym is. And the nutrition, as you know, Sam, is like 80% of it. So I'm taking my nutrition very seriously, in conjunction with gym. So that all encompasses my habits going forward. But before we wrap up, I forgot one big update.
Go on.
I think I told you this, but I am editing my first short film now. So I have this big bitchin' 4 terabyte SSD that the producer gave to me last week Friday, and it's a beast. And I think it's like
files.
A lot, Sam. A lot. There's audio files, there's video files, and I'll tell you now, it was very, very overwhelming in the first day, and I was like, "Fuck, wait, what?" I had because I had like this shit with work. I was like, "I feel like I'm fucking this up. I feel like I'm fucking this up." And there was this tough scene. It was the second scene. I did the first scene. I was like, "Cool, first scene, calm, done." The second scene is I'm not going to spoil the short film, but there's essentially a lot of stuff going on. There's action in it.
Is it a kissing scene?
And no. There's
Lewis edits
there's
OnlyFans.
Action. there's a lot of action in the scene, and there's a lot of angles,
right?
And it was very technically difficult, and I was stuck on it for genuinely about 5 hours, and I was like, my career's done. I was like, I'm fucked it. But
what was it called, this show?
I was able to go and sort it. So that's going to be my project probably for the whole month. And the way that I've started it, so I'm not getting overwhelmed and overstressing. I was like, when I have the weekends, I'm like, cool, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to work out, I'm going to have a good breakfast, then I'm going to sit down, then I'm going to edit, I'm going to make sure I have breaks like every 30, 40 minutes. And so I don't overexert myself and edit till 1 a.m. because that's what I would do. But speaking with one of the producers, he's a guy I've referenced before, and when he is directing his film, he wants to get in the best possible shape and look after himself. So I'm making sure I'm taking care of the temple in order to do this without overexerting myself. So I'm very looking forward to doing that. Man. I thought that an opportunity like this wouldn't happen for another year or two. So the needle's moved a lot in the past year. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. And I'm looking forward to where it will lead to. And the shots from the film so far, it looks stunning.
Right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to.
Are you allowed to say the name of it?
I don't. Yeah, actually, yeah, I am. It's called Eureka. They got funding for the film, so they've been doing like promos and stuff for it. So yeah, these are some. It's a good crowd that I've somehow.
Was it from like your editing circle?
Kind of. Yes, but a different one. So my brother introduced me to a guy who he knew, and then I've been chatting to him on and off. He's been like a mentor for like 3 years, and then he then introduced me to other people. So it's been off the back of networking and keeping up that relationship. But in conjunction with that, also continuing to edit and stuff like that. So it's weird how life works, man. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting it done. So yeah, that's my big update. And it's 1:29. So we're going to wrap this up. I want it to be a clean 1:30. So do you have anything else, Sam? Or should we wrap up?
Is it 1:30 yet?
All right, guys. No, All right, guys. If you enjoyed this episode, give it 5 stars. Please remember to share, like, subscribe on YouTube. We're now videos on Spotify, so let us know how you like it. Pause. Follow us on Instagram, The Podcast Evolve, TikTok, The Podcast Evolve. Sam is now king of shorts, so he's posting a lot more.
I am.
So thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam,
all day, every day,
sorting that out because that's a burden off my plate.
No worries.
And yeah, I've enjoyed this one. This has been a good one. And we'll catch you guys next week. Sam, say bye.
Take it. Sam, say bye.
Jem, say bye. Lewis, say bye. All right, see you guys.
Say bye.